I think I would do this picture. But I want to change the background. I'm still going to put those stars, but I want to put some, maybe a planet back there. But like when I start painting, I know I'm going to be in here when you're in here. But can you like, not paint on the canvas, but like how it makes the color and stuff. Texture of the paint. Chick that be at the desk has pets? Does she have pets? The chick that sits at the front desk at your job?
She might. I think she has a dog.
That's the only way I can think you get that dog hair in you because you sit in her chair for a desk.
Yep. I'm telling you, but there be other pets there, you know, like that shit. I hate fucking pet hair. Like I say, that shit's so fucking.
Especially if you're not on top of it. If you don't vacuum it every week, you're gonna have hair everywhere.
Chopping it up in there.
Yeah. I done re-rolled this one like 4 times already. Usually run it the second time it's already. I literally only have one left. That's how I'm like.
This place a long time ago.
These are certified uncertified.
Yo, my man Art, what up, bro? Yeah, I see a lot of people posting pictures of Bill, yo. Never knew who he was, yo.
You?
Yep.
Yeah, me neither until today.
Huh?
Me neither until today.
Yeah, I never knew who he was. I guess I did know who he was. I just never knew that I knew. Cause that Lovely Day song is the shit, yo. I love that song. It's gonna be a lovely. My hometown high school colors are red, white, and black. So I'm gonna just do a red, white, and black color scheme on it. Something simple. On the back, on the strip right here on the back, I might put our area code. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers know where we from. That good 843. And plus, like, even if you look at my own shoe collection, yo, I do a lot of red, white, and black, yo. I like those colors. Nostalgia. Yes, sir. Keep it classic and simple. I heard they let Tekashi 6ix9ine out of jail. Somebody gonna kill that nigga. Well, you can't make music no more, nigga. You ain't gonna be no entertainer no more. They gonna come to your show, fuck you up, Odie. Don't worry, I got y'all covered with the quarantine streams. Get that tape line straight. Paint still gonna bleed over and get where you don't want to. Like, you just gotta be super careful. Keep a razor with you because you're gonna have to like clean off some paint where you don't want it. But as long as you tape it up as best you can, it'll save you a hell of a lot of time. These ain't really Jordans, but I customized shoes for the first time like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I customized a pair of shoes. I made myself a pair of Boondocks, just real simple. Kept the whole shoe white and just drew a picture of Huey, Riley, and Grandpa on the shoes. I've only ever did 3 pairs of shoes, yo, because nobody don't want them. Like I put it out there, I advertised for it, and I showed the shoes that I did, a couple pair of shoes I did, and it's like, nobody don't ever request customs, yo. The Boondocks. Oh, Vaseline. I never tried that technique, yo. Yeah, these Jones beat now, but when it was crispy and fresh, I say plain as hell. Just kept the whole shoe normal, and just put Grandpa and had the Boondocks right there written. And then on the other shoe, I just put Huey and Riley and the Boondocks. These the low Jones. He got the high Jones with the strap on it though. The leather paint, this is what everybody uses when you're customizing acrylic leather paint. Angela's is the go-to brand. Damn, to think about it now, I can't do the color scheme I want to do. I don't have enough black. Huh? I would have to order it, and Amazon ain't shipping out shit right now. Some neon green spores. Yo, why didn't I check my paint supply? Yeah, I may have to do a different color scheme because yeah, I don't have enough black. This shit right here about empty. Damn it.
Yeah, think about that. Draw the COVID-19 virus.
Oh, like I said, I wasn't gonna put a design on them. I'm just gonna do a color scheme. But then my whole color scheme idea got fucked up just now. I did not check my supplies, yo. This is all the black I have, and it's not even the whole thing. Like that's not even full. I don't know. I might yo, you know how to do that shit, bro. COVID-19. Oh, just haven't been open in so long. Really? Oh my god.
It's just a try again.
Oh, he already got the whole idea. Yeah, that's not gonna be enough to do what I want to do. It says I can still order on here. What's the day? What's today's date?
If I'm not mistaken.
It said it can be here anywhere
Yeah, it's
from
the
the.
4th.
It said anywhere from the 9th through the 20th.
Well, you still wasn't gonna be done with those too fast anyways. So it doesn't matter when it comes. And Amazon always says one thing, but they usually ship fast. No matter, even if you're not getting that 2-day shipping,
Yeah.
you'll still get it within like a week.
I don't know. I might just order some black, coffee cakes. I might just order some black, because I really like this black and red color scheme that I wanted to do. Do I have to do the black first? I can order the black and just work on the red.
You always do black though. Black is like primary. Oh, you're doing that one you showed me? That's what he wants, that one you showed me?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So then yeah, you're gonna do more black then.
There was another hot color. It was blue, gray, and white.
Yeah, that's the other one everybody likes.
Yeah, but then I would still need enough black to make gray. And I don't even know if I have enough to do that. Either way, I'm just gonna have to order some black paint, yeah. Alright, so I just ordered some black paint. I'm gonna still do this red, black, and white design. I just have to wait on paint to come now. Damn it! Why? did I not check that? I just assumed that I had supplies, and I don't. Yo, them shit's hot like that, yo. With the white box in the middle, the white band at the bottom. Yo, I'm telling you, I want to do these, but with the high Jones, yo. Yo, them shits is hot, yo. I swear, bro. With the full red bottom going across, then the white box. Yo, them shit's hard, yo. And then, like I said, I'll put our area code on the back of the Jones. The 843 in white on the back. That shit look hot, yo. I need more black paint. I don't have enough black to do that shit, yo. And then I already got black laces for it too. Swap out the white laces, throw the black laces in that Jones. Yeah. The Boondock clothes. Who drink all my orange juice? You know I need my daily dose of vitamin C. Granddad, you do know that light-skinned hoe is a hoe, right? Yo, nigga, you gay. Yo. Riley is a fucking chick, yo. Yo, nigga, you gay. Yeah, but that red, black, and white. Yeah, that shit too hard, yo. And then, like I said, those are our high school colors too. So this is just a you can buy a set like this, and all of them come in a. I just brought the box set, so you got black, you got yellow, and then of course, like if you're good at blending, you can make any fucking color really out of these Jones, especially with your white. And that's why I brought a big thing of red, because I like using red. But yeah. Get the fuck in there. It comes with a red, green, orange, pink, purple. This right here is caramel, brown. Got your white. Then you got dark taupe. And then you got a blue. And then if you want a darker blue, all you gotta do is take your blue and add some purple to that shit. You can get a darker blue, or you want a lighter blue, add some white to that shit, you can get a light blue. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with your orange. You don't really want an orange or a red. You mix these together and get you like an orangish red, or lighten that shit up. If you don't like this color pink, you can lighten your red and make it pink. Or you can even make your own purples with your red and your blue, and then you can get your own fucking purple. and then you can thin them out and put them in the your fucking your sprayer. Burgundy. Burgundy is like a reddish purple color. You know what I'm saying? I can mix a burgundy. Give me some red, some purple, maybe a little bit of blue. I can get you a burgundy. And then I don't know, Angelus, they sell individual colors too. They might already have a pre-mixed burgundy. I like that color, yo, like that turquoise. I can definitely order that. Cause they got like the pastel set of colors. They got the fucking neon set of colors. They got the fucking day glow set of colors. Like they got tons of different sets. That's just like your standard base set. But for those bright colors, those turquoise and those opals and all that shit, they got colors like that ready. Fuck. Yo, this fucking tape line just to try to get that shit. Like I say, you're not gonna get it perfect. I've never gotten it perfect. Like you're just gonna have to clean it up a little bit, but because the sole of the shoe actually has a little tiny lip that comes up next to the leather, and so trying to cover the little lip of the rubber sole is the hardest fucking part. Cause if not, you're gonna get paint on that shit, yo. And that's why, like, some motherfuckers who like real good at sewing and shit, yo, they'll deconstruct the whole fucking shoe, yo. They'll just take this bitch apart and sew different fabrics on that shit or sew extra patches on that shit. Take the leather Nike check off and put a fucking jean or a corduroy check on there or some shit. I got the free part. I keep thinking about downloading, like just going ahead and getting the whole thing, but I haven't yet. Like I said, I wouldn't mind trying that Ground Warfare out just cause I used to love Battlefield, yo, but once Battlefield started going back to the older guns and all that scenario, I stopped playing that shit. But I miss those big ass maps, yo, with the vehicles, the tanks, and the helicopters and planes and all that shit, yo. I miss playing those big ass war maps like that. And so that new Call of Duty is like more modern, up to date, and then plus they have that new big ass Ground Warfare mode, which is basically like copying from Battlefield. So I keep thinking about getting the whole game just to play that mode, yo. I never really liked Call of Duty just because that's, you know, their normal format is those real, not small maps, but, you know, tight, close quarter maps, you know, with the fast respawns and all that shit, yo. I never used to like those little maps like that. They're like, oh, y'all want to play some shit like this? Here you go. I seen some of my other homies last night playing fucking Monopoly, yo. I might actually get that shit. They like it ain't nothing but $5 too. Get the Monopoly game. Get some of y'all motherfuckers bankrupt. Yeah, now it's like, I don't know, more of the online shooters, like you say, they're getting fucking very, very similar now. Like, they don't want to differentiate a lot. And every online shooter has this new battle royale mode, and that's like the new trend, the new wave for gaming and shit. So everybody got to do it now. Because if not, Fortnite is just gonna rule the goddamn world. Bring out the board games. What y'all want to do? Let's play some Monopoly. Like I said, they figure out a way for everybody to stay in their damn house. We don't need y'all to really be in person and do none of this shit no more. Y'all think these shit's gonna be hot, hot, hot. Motherfuckers been playing Monopoly for 80 years. That shit's still fun as hell, yo. That shit's still fun. Alright, it's the one game that actually do teach you how to fucking manage your money. About the value of owning properties and owning good properties, paying rent, bills. Yo, Monopoly is fucking a good ass game, yo. That was the first time I ever understood the concept of bankrupt. What is bankrupt? When you ain't got no money, nigga. You ain't got no money. Now you gotta sell off your assets to pay your debts. Well, if I sell all my assets, I'll be in the poorhouse. Exactly. You know why? Because I got a monopoly. What's a monopoly? Is when somebody controls a large portion of a market. A market like what? Like utilities. You can own the electric company and the waterworks. Now you got a monopoly. You can own all 4 railroads, transportation. Now you got a monopoly on transportation. Whatever she wants.
I'm not good at art, so I'm not showing it.
She's drawing a face. Just like a kind of
cartoon,
a cartoon generic face looking thing.
Why you went like this on the speed though? That part just went hard. That whole. I'm pissed off. Not that the canvas is not big enough. I drew it too big. I'm trying to make it work now.
Yo, shout out to all the parents out there, yo. Shout out to all the parents who got their kids at home and y'all gotta help them with their homework and shit now. Cause yeah, that shit ain't no damn joke. Yo, I do an after school program and helping some like just 4th and 5th graders with their homework. Like, yo, what? I don't even understand half of these damn instructions on this. What the hell they trying to tell y'all to do, man? Then my little niece called me last night with her homework, and it's like, geez. These instructions seem so weird and like hard to figure out sometimes. But now y'all see why teachers be wanting more money.
They gotta learn this hard shit that don't make no sense.
Yeah, that's why teachers want more money, yo. Y'all got 2 kids at home trying to teach them and help them with their homework. Teachers got 30 kids. And then they got their own 2 kids at home. Why they won't stick right there? I sound so professional. Yeah, the fuck right. I sound as professional as I need to be. Yeah. But y'all see, yo, teaching ain't easy. Teaching ain't no easy job. Teachers, can you believe that teachers do that shit because they want to? Motherfuckers go to school and sign up for that job. Like, damn. Parents get a couple weeks with their kids in the house, motherfuckers going crazy. Motherfuckers going crazy. Hey, kids too. For some reason, kids think it's cool just not to go to school and they just want to stay home. But then when they really do have to stay home, they like, fuck this shit. Can't go outside neither. Well, I'd rather be at school right now. Shit.
That's what my brother is right now.
Huh?
That's what my brother is right now.
I'm telling you,
He said
motherfucker.
he'd rather be at school.
I'd rather be at school, man, with my friends,
Hell yeah.
playgrounds and shit, man. Fuck this staying at home all day shit, man. Yeah, staying at home ain't now kids gonna appreciate the fuck out of school for a little while, and then they'll hate it again. I swear this be like the hardest part, yo, just taping up. I think I'm gonna just tape up the soles actually, and what else I want to do, I probably won't need the tape for that actually, because if I would have to tape before I do the black, but the red part, I think I can work the red part without actually taping it up. You know what? I wonder if electrical tape would work better.
You are using electrical tape.
Huh?
You are using electrical tape. Blue tape is electrical tape, isn't it? To cover the things when you paint a wall. I don't need to shush. I don't care if I'm wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
No, this isn't electrical tape. Like you just said, this is painter's tape. You cover the walls when you paint.
Yeah,
right?
the electrical parts with the blue tape.
No, no.
I'm confused then.
Yeah. Electrical tape is the thin
Okay.
black tape that you actually wrap
Okay,
around
then.
electrical wires.
Why is that supposed to be? I'm supposed to be embarrassed on camera.
No, it's
about?
not. It's not being embarrassed. It's just that's why.
Tell me, I don't know. I'm wrong.
I'm just
Okay.
telling you, I need a different kind of tape, but you're telling me it's the same tape.
Okay. I thought it was.
I just said I wonder if electrical tape would work, which means this isn't electrical tape.
Well, what if you were wrong?
I'm not. Though.
All right. But that's what I'm trying to say, though. But what if?
Okay.
Damn.
Oh my God. I'm the king of this domain in this little art room. If I'm wrong about anything in this goddamn room, I don't need to be in here. If anything in this room got me confused,
You're so conceited. Shut up. Just be
I'm
quiet.
not.
Yes, you are.
If anything in this room get me confused, I don't need to be in this motherfucker.
Hmm?
Going
Say
around. Calm down. Let it go.
I thought you wasn't gonna let it go.
No. Going around the toe, man, like it curves so much, you gotta rip like 5 pieces of tape just to get around the fucking curve. Alright. I swear, like if you ain't got fingernails, this should be extra hard too. Like to try to tuck the edge of that tape down good. Yo, why does this seem so hard to do though? Like, jeez. Alright. I might make me some Nikes with just a blue sole like that, yo. Call them shits, put a blue sole on it, and then put like an ocean wave on the check mark, like water on that bitch, yo. Keep it simple. Haven't done this in a minute. Every time I do some shit, I be wanting some shit for myself now, so I might have to go get me a pair of all whites and do me a new pair for the summertime. So when we come fresh out of quarantine, Blunt gonna have his COVID-9 with the virus. Call them shits the germ. You know what I'm saying? The germ. Got them incredible Hawk colors on that shit.
How does it look?
That looks good. You ever seen, she's so popular. Her art pops up everywhere. Her name is Sarah Ghoulish. I can't pronounce her last name, yo.
Sarah Ghoulish.
Is it Ghoulish or Gaulish or something like that, yo? try her Instagram, yo. But her art, like she does this very very
Do you know if
particular.
it has an H or not? Sarah with H or no H?
Try it no H.
Yeah, I think it's no H. Sarah Coolidge. Yeah, Sarah Coolidge. Her?
Yeah, and you see, it's kind of like all of her art has that look to it. Like that's her style. But people
Yeah.
love that shit though. Like,
This is really pretty though.
and she did a show down in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. I was like, damn, yo, I wish I was down there to see your shit in person, yo.
This is nice.
But like,
Not all of her art. Some of her old art, but
yeah, but
now recently she's doing that more.
she has a very
That's good.
distinctive style to how she draw her shit, yo. With that pupilless eyes and the extra long necks. And she's white, but she always seems to paint black girls or draw black girls.
I think that long neck's supposed to bring like, excellence and like shit like that. Cause I watched some show, some chick wanted to elongate her neck, and it was like
It's
a
a
whole
symbol
history.
of beauty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit is beautiful. But yeah, as soon as you show me that anything that looks like that, it reminds me of her art, yo.
Yeah, she's kind of popular, 80,000.
I mean, and I commented, and she spoke to me before, like she actually replied to my comments and stuff. To be so famous, I like when famous people, the germ, yeah, got them custom germs, boy.
But this, I it came out different, obviously. This is the same size as the other one, right? That I did? About almost, a little bit bigger maybe?
I don't know, because the last one was a panel and not a canvas.
Yeah.
I think the panel might have been, I don't know, they might be the same size though.
Alright, I'm basically done. I just gotta paint now.
A germ. Yeah, we have to do them shit like soon for somebody else to start hopping on all this COVID shit. Like the people in India named their twins Corona and COVID. Corona and COVID. Really?
They tried it.
Really? You're gonna be famous for like 2 days and you're done now. Like now, but your kids gotta live with this shit for the rest of their fucking life. Trending. So you already know somebody gonna start coming up with the germ for some other shit. Yo, we gotta hurry up and trademark this shit. Cause like I say, man, once you think about some shit, the idea is out there. Now everybody else is gonna start picking up on the same shit, yo. Everybody else gonna pick up on the same shit. You can put that shit out there in the atmosphere. Come on, you fucking tape. Just line up nice and smooth like I want you to. we gotta cut this shit down, bro. Knock this shit right out. Nobody never saw this. I have to now. I'll keep it, but I'll block it and make it private. Like that. If you wasn't in here to see it, you're not gonna steal our ideas, motherfucker. This is intellectual property. The Green Germ COVID-19 Custom Air Force Ones has been trademarked by Paintings by the Prince Incorporated, including Graveyard Alliance and Blunt Mover trademark as well. So don't steal our shit, please. Thank you. Hello, lawyer. Yeah, write that paperwork up real quick for me. The germ. All right. Tia. Don't touch my shit.
I know you all this time you just been saying this sentence.
An hour.
Gotta make sure it's perfect.
Hey man, you can't put a time on perfection. I say this is the longest, most tedious part. Like I say, just trying to keep that soul white, keep everything off where you don't want it. Gotta get my base model now. Start out with that clean platform, then we fuck it up.
Alright. This is ready. I can't do anything else until I want to do everything else with paint.
Okay.
Are you hungry?
I'm getting there.
I'm gonna go cook something. Bring it up here.
Yeah. Fuck. All right. All right, like I said, I probably won't have to tape up a lot until I'm ready to do the black, and I'll tape up some of the red part that I'm gonna do now. But But the high tops, you got the part where the strap goes in through the back. I want that to be black. I don't want to get any red on that part, so. Let me see how I can cover this. Or at least most of it. Something like that. Let me see how good that works. Polo, what up, yo? Chillin', like a motherfucking villain. What you want to do is apply like 3 or 4 layers of really thin paint. Um, so your first couple of layers, you are going to be able to see through it. Don't let that discourage you. When you can see through it like that, you just come back and keep painting until you don't see through it no more. But you don't want to like try to cake it on too heavy the first layer. This leather paint can cake up in your brush quick, so keep your brush clean out, yeah. Don't go too long without trying to get some of it out. I mean, whatever you do in your shoes, that's what they're used for. I mean, you can bowl in them, or you can skateboard in them, or you can fucking play basketball in them. I mean, if you want to call them bowling shoes. You can go golfing in these shoes if you want to. Not the custom boot. Not the custom boot. You want one of them, Jonathan? A custom boot? Can you fit it? You might have one just your size. My man said he got them exclusives for you. No? He don't want it, man. You know, some people cool, some people not. Got that new. You ain't never seen no boot like this. What's that? Gore-Tex? Yeah. Oh my damn. Yo, who this PayPal dude is? You know too much, nigga. Fuck wrong with you? Then he put out this if you do that, I'ma do this type shit. Who the fuck do that? Motherfucker straight up told you I'ma troll the shit out you. 30 days. Okay, back. Let me get one of them those lids out that drawer. Right, that green one right there. Whatever, yo. Yeah, like it's a fucking big deal. Like my man say, we already seen your boobs.
Yeah, but still, looks like how I do in that painting right now. So.
Yeah, it's just all good. You are good. Yeah, like I'm fucking dressed to the T. Looking rough this morning. Who gives a damn? Alright. Got some red on there. The process has started. Let me get a drink.
Yeah, this one's more room temperature.
My man Stan, what up, bro? Shit. I would have normally ate already. I'm hungry as shit right now. Keeping everybody entertained with your quarantine streams. Bringing you some art and education. At the moment, we are having some waffles and bacon and eggs. Working on customizing some sneakers this morning.
The easel looks so weird without anything on it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so weird without anything on it.
Oh, damn. It ain't burnt. That's how I like my bacon, yo.
That's how you're supposed to eat bacon.
Yeah, I request my bacon to be like this. My French fries the same way, yo. If you put a hot dog on the grill, if my hot dog don't come off the grill looking like this, I don't want that shit, yo. That's that flavor.
Shit's supposed to smell like a chip.
No. I gotta come get me some chocolates. No.
Is that the guy?
Yeah, from the tea shop stand. Mm-hmm.
I was like, chocolates. Hold up.
I don't know. I'll say the quarantine got some people frustrated, but it's once again my number one concern is this has been from day one. The political and economic blowback from this whole situation for small business owners, the middle class. Like, this shit is fucking crazy what it's doing to people like you. I was talking to Alex at City Center Print because my job, we actually get stuff printed from them, so I had to go pick up some stuff from him. And he was like, this shit is fucking ridiculous, Joe. He can't keep his employees on right now like he want to. Motherfuckers ain't really ordering shit. You know what I'm saying? Like how your business is. Like, this shit is weird. And this, everybody like, oh, a virus, a pandemic. I'm like, this shit is gonna fuck up our economy though. This shit is gonna directly affect everybody some type of way, even if you never even catch this fucking germ, especially if you're a small business owner. I could definitely use some right about now. I actually picked up some weights the other day. Looking at Facebook Market, somebody's moving and they just had some weights sitting in their fucking front yard, like giving that shit away. Can somebody come get this shit? I'm like, hell yeah.
I didn't even see it. It's downstairs in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm gonna slowly try to put together a nice little workout set here, since we ain't got the gym right now.
Keep it like that.
You know?
No, I feel like you still might keep the gym membership because you like those machines there. You might want to hit those different machines they have.
Yeah, screw that. I'll save my $10 a month. That's crazy, bro. Going from doing pretty good to losing 75% of your business, that's fucking stupid. Damn. This shit is fucking weird, yo. And then I can imagine there's only a select few customers that you even want to come to your house, you know, for a pickup order. It's like, I mean, but what what other options do you have? Like, motherfucking bills don't stop. Well, they're on pause for some utilities. Ooh. Yeah, he's to and from the city. If he was smart, he would have He would have came out here and isolated instead of staying in the city. Oh, it definitely is, bro. It definitely is. Like I said, if it ain't your job, it's your kids. And if it ain't your kids, it's your health. If it ain't your health, it's your business. It's like, what the fuck? And then it's gonna get so bad. And this is that fucking problem, reaction, solution. This shit gonna get so bad that once again, the American public is just like, please, government, save us. We don't know what to do without you. And the government's like, we have all the answers for you, American citizens. Calm down, calm down. I'm going to give you $1,000. Like,
That's 1 month covered.
but,
After 3 months it's been.
yo, my monthly bills is more than $1,000. I pay like $1,200 a month in just bills. I got 2 vehicles I need insurance and gas for. I got fucking homeowners insurance, flood insurance, goddamn gas, electric, water, internet, property taxes, city sewer taxes, city trash taxes. What else?
We didn't even get to food yet.
Yeah, I ain't even start buying my groceries.
You pay this bill.
I ain't even start talking about buying groceries. I can't. What I'm gonna do with $1,000 a month? Man, shit, I'm gonna starve off of that. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, yo. That shit crazy. They say the whole fucking world is all flipped around. Oh shit, Toy. And this is the selective healthcare that I've been talking about for a long time. And a lot of people thought this Obamacare plan was good. And it seems good on the surface, but when you read deep down into this shit, it's a selective healthcare. And they can do shit like that where if you're past your life expectancy and the hospital or your insurance doesn't want to allocate funds towards you because your health, they're not gonna benefit from keeping a 95-year-old lady alive. You know what I'm saying? And so like it's just, just kill off all the elderly. And I think Trump is smart enough to realize that the federal government is run by the corporations, lobbyists, the military-industrial complex are really the big players in how things function and operate in conjunction with the central banks. So most people who get in these positions know that they're going to be handed an agenda. This is what we plan on doing with Syria and Iraq in the next few years. We want to get to this end point. And, so we're just going to try to maneuver whichever way we can to get to the point where we want to during your presidency. We also have this healthcare bill that we've drawn up. We need you to sign this. We also have these other issues that have been in place, and we have an agenda to settle these matters. You just have to read this speech to the public. And that's what most presidents do. They get in there, they're a figurehead. They may have some opinions on how things should be run, but they really know they don't have any power. And so I'm pretty sure Trump thought he was going to get in there and just go down in history as a president, get this little smooth ride where all he has to do is read the prompter and sign the paper. But no, in his presidency, some real shit just popped off. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we can really see, like, this dude isn't presidential quality at all. At all. And I wouldn't expect anything different from anybody else who was in the seat right now. Yeah, you haven't really heard a lot about Australia. There are some places who are just not as heavily infected with this thing right now. Well, like I say, people here are. I see a lot of people keep posting on social media the headline from the day that Kobe Bryant was confirmed dead, and there's like, oh, look right beside the article. They were announcing COVID-19 then, and the article is from like January the 27th or something like that. And it's like they knew about it the same day Kobe died, and then I reposted a post that I from China from like 10 or 12 days earlier. It's like, no, people been knew about this before Kobe Bryant's death. It was already an issue. China was already talking about it. Other countries were already talking about it. Nobody just wanted to be on top of it. So don't say like, oh, nobody knew about it and they were using Kobe Bryant's death to like distract people from what was going on. Like, no, there were reports about that shit weeks before Kobe Bryant died. You motherfuckers just weren't paying attention to the shit. Actually, reports were already circulating like the last week of December. People are saying that China knew about it from like November of last year, which means it was probably already out in October, and this thing was spreading around October of last year, November of last year. China actually they figured out that it was a problem, and then by the end of December other people were talking about it, and then in January like everybody started talking about it then, but it was a problem like well before January. That shit just don't like, as soon as you hear the news it's like, oh, we just figured out there's a epidemic in China. Like, no, it took weeks and months for it to get to the point where it was that bad in China initially, where they had to tell everybody like, yo, we got a problem. So the shit was old news before January. Like I say, the first time I posted on it was January the 18th. And like I said, I just try to stay up on news and shit, and China's talking about, oh, we got this virus. And the first reports was that the initial infected people were direct contact from the source, and they were thinking that maybe it cannot be transmitted from human to human. And that's how they were describing it to start with. And then China said, whoa, wait a minute. This shit is jumping from human to human. And that's the first report that I read about it, and I posted that shit. And I was like, yo, China says they got this new virus and it's jumping from human to human. Nobody fucking cared about that shit at all. Nobody even made a comment on that post, yo.
People probably thought it was fake or something. They really think people that would catch other people's attention.
Exactly, COVID-19, because yeah, it was already out last year. China has always been secretive about everything they do, and most nations are. Most nations want to have some sort of transparency on an international scale, but for the most part, countries feel like their security and their economic structure are something that they need to hold tight to themselves. And at the same time, China is one of the few countries that really resist Western culture, Western ideology, Western ideas. I mean, the white man has permeated every part of the fucking world, but China really does resist having its culture altered and changed so much by Western ideas. And so they shut themselves off and they try to maintain their ways of life. And in order to do that, they feel like they have to keep their citizens shut out, and that's why their internet is limited. And you can't have access to a lot of other shit that people have access to. But throughout, I mean, China's one of the oldest civilizations ever. And they've been doing this shit for thousands of years, and they've managed to maintain their history, their heritage, their culture, and all of this shit for thousands of years. And it's because they don't let everybody in, and they don't tell the whole fucking world what they're doing all the time. So their military programs and their space programs and their technology programs, they try to keep that shit to themselves. And I don't blame a country for doing that, but at the same time, China is uber secretive about a lot of shit, and so I can see why in certain aspects they would be. And why it's necessary for countries to be like that?
Staying inside saves lives.
Stay home. Please stay home. Stay home.
These commercials right here on self-quarantining, like ordinance to make you stay home if you're not sick, that's martial law, yo.
Superpower of our species.
Together we will keep
That's house arrest. They essentially got everybody on house arrest. Oh, boom. You already know that, bro. Once again, problem, reaction, solution. Create a problem or utilize a problem. Wait for the reaction, and then have a planned out solution for said problem. And then once again, people are talking about forced vaccinations for diseases like this, or viruses like this, where they might mandate you to vaccinate, or you'll have restricted access to certain whatever amenities, official buildings, housing, schools. Because right now your kid has to get vaccinated before they can go to school. You know what I'm saying? It's mandatory. Now it's going to be another mandated vaccine for stuff like this. They might even mandate the seasonal flu vaccine where everybody has to take it every year. Like people who work in the health field, you have to take the flu shot every year, or they force you to wear that mask or whatever. And so these are the implications that I see from this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Fuck getting sick. What are they going to try to make us do because of this? Kung Fu Master, how are you this morning? In 1991? I'm gonna have to check that out. But China's, like I keep saying this over and over, yo, China has already said themselves that this is the Asian century. China wants to dominate the world economically for the next 100 years, and they've been setting themselves up to do so. And they've been pretty fucking on a good track so far, yo. You know what I'm saying? America has maintained global might because of its military. Most people can't even start to think that they can defeat America's military. So the Chinaman, being as smart as he is, he already figured out we can defeat these motherfuckers economically. We ain't gonna win no war against you guys. We gonna buy up all your companies. We gonna buy up all your debt. We gonna make all the products for the cheapest, and we gonna run this world economically, and we can starve y'all out. Wuhan, got you all in check. And when I step up in a place, put that virus to your neck. Wuhan, got you all in check. Pneumonia-like system's gonna take your breath. Wuhan, got you all in check. This nigga crazy. Oh, damn. This motherfucker stupid. Oh my god.
The UN passes an accord strictly prohibiting android development. Japan resorts to the extreme step of withdrawing from the UN to pursue a policy of high-tech national isolation.
For 10 years, Japan has operated below the radar. In recent months, however, we have observed a surge of new activity. The mission before us: infiltrate Japan.
They're the ones that did this. It's their fault all the people have gone.
The Jags are coming!
They can rob us of our country. Take our bodies and our minds. But then they can't take our pride.
It don't really tell like the plot, yo. But that movie right there, yo, the main underlying plot is the government put out this fake fucking virus. And then they forced everybody to get vaccinated. But the vaccination had this shit in it where it turned your fucking all the cells in your body into like this bio metal type shit. So it essentially turned you into like this little robot. And then anybody who dissented or went against the government, they could just like flip a switch, make you go fucking crazy or control you or just fucking kill you and shut your whole body down. That shit was crazy. Like, I was like, wait a minute. They made the virus and they made a vaccine that everybody had to take, and then that shit turns you into a fucking robot? Like, wait, what the hell? But that shit was, like you say, it's said in Japan, not China, but like all these little scenarios, man, motherfuckers been thinking of crazy shit like this forever, yo. Yeah. All right, I'll play the beginning of this thing one more time too, yo, cause this shit was fucking hella interesting. Damn, is it that far back? That's what some people thinking too,
A
man.
bit of an unusual video presentation here.
That
As I'm taking the step.
yeah, the RFID. I don't know, bro. Like I said, if they force a vaccination, like you said, who knows what the fuck is in that shit? For real, for real. That's why I don't even take regular seasonal flu vaccines. And like when my son was still living with me, I had got a religious exemption form saying this. I don't practice a religion, but the paperwork says that it's against my religious beliefs to have any foreign bodies injected into myself or my children. And go to your school and receive a public education, even though he is not vaccinated. You gotta go through all kind of hoops and ladders to get this shit from your health department. Then you gotta take it down to City Hall. Then you gotta go through hoops and ladders and get that shit goddamn notarized by your local City Hall. Then you gotta get that shit to your fucking school. And then they gotta really approve that shit. But it take a little minute. But I did that shit just so my son wouldn't have to get, shots every fucking year, yo. My little dude healthy as shit. Ain't nothing wrong with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, once they start forcing a vaccine, that's where you gotta start paying attention to this shit, yo. Like,
Of making a video as an interpretation and as a commentary on an audio interview, which 16th of February 2010, and this
2010.
is a bit of an unusual video presentation here because I'm taking the step of making a video as an interpretation and as a commentary on an audio interview which we did with an important witness who came and reported his story to Project Camelot a little while ago, about a couple of weeks ago. And
I can use those paints over there, right?
as with many of our witnesses, this person wanted to remain anonymous, but he has agreed that we transcribe the audio, and so we've got this as a transcript. And this is going to be released at the same time as the video because it's important to be able to read the transcript at the same time as you're considering what I'm saying about it here. And as we come into this story, you're going to understand exactly why it's important to get all the information, to hold it all into a very fine balance. Now, this is a British person, and he worked in the British military for a number of years. And after he retired from the military, he worked in the City of London in a fairly senior position, in a respected position, in the City of London. And for those people watching this video who don't know about the City of London, the City of London is it's like an enclave. It's like a financial enclave in the heart of London itself. Some people consider it almost a little bit like the Vatican. It's very old, it's very ancient. It's the heart of the financial system, not only of Britain, but possibly the world. Many researchers consider that it's very likely that the City of London calls the shots on the financial systems in America. They've got control over the Federal Reserve, the Bank for International Settlements, a whole bunch of things that happen. This is like the nerve center of the financial world. And it's very Masonic, it's very ancient, it's very traditional. And our source attended a number of meetings with senior Masons. And while many of these were interesting, they were routine by City of London standards. They were discussing financial affairs and so on and so forth. And then in June 2005, he attended another meeting that he thought was going to be a routine meeting, but actually this was something rather unusual, and he realized it was unusual as soon as he arrived. In fact, in his interview with us, the one which we have the transcript of, you will see that he says that he felt it was an accident that he was there. He shouldn't really have been there. He didn't know what was happening. And as such, he didn't really participate in the meeting. He was there as a little bit as a fly on the wall. He was just listening to what was happening. And at first he didn't even understand what was being discussed. Now, the people there were Masons. There were senior Masons. They were about 25 or 30 people there, including senior politicians who most people in the UK would recognize by name. I do not know who they were. He didn't name them, and I didn't ask them, but he said these are well-known names. The chief of police was there, representatives from the church, representatives from the military, 25 or 30 people. And as he listened to this story being discussed, it was an informal meeting. It wasn't like a big table with kind of notepads.
So I'm put 2 coats on this,
and
then 2 coat that one, and come back and probably have enough black, but I can still use whatever black I have to start on it.
Was
and then when I get more black, just finish it up.
That had clearly been made a long time ago, and what they were discussing was they were discussing the implementation of this plan. They were discussing how things were going, whether they were on track or not. And what, for example, to give a flavor of this, they were discussing between them some of the problems that they had in the implementation of their plan. And as this little presentation continues here, you will realize what the plan was. And I'm going to be revealing this in very much the same way as it was revealed to our witness and as he revealed it to me, bit by bit, step by step. The first thing that he heard was they were talking about the fact that Israel didn't look as if it was getting prepared to attack Iran anytime soon. This was a problem. Even back in June 2005, they were apparently concerned that what it was that was planned on some kind of a timeline wasn't rolling out according to schedule, and this was an issue for them. So that attracted his attention very quickly, because he'd never been in a meeting when this kind of thing was discussed. Then they were talking about China and how powerful China was getting, both militarily and financially, very quickly, and that the Japanese weren't doing what they were supposed to do, which was to interfere in some way with the Chinese financial system. They weren't doing that, and this was another problem because China was getting too strong too quickly. Other things that were discussed were, for example, the coming financial crash, the centralization of resources, everything that we saw starting to happen in October 2008. They were planning that and referring to it in their meeting in June 2005. So there was clearly a rollout of some plan here, and he was quite shocked the more that he heard, and when he really realized what was happening, he was extremely shocked. And one of the reasons why I'm giving this video presentation now is to soften the blow and interpret this a little tiny bit, because it is shocking information. And what I also want to do is I want to try and differentiate out between what it was that he reported, because he'd heard it with his own ears, and what it is that is his speculation and my speculation about how all this fits together. It's very important information. We need to know this stuff. Even though it doesn't look like it's going to be on track, I don't think this will happen. I think that there are a bunch of crazy people there who are extremely determined to do something, and they were in a hurry, and this is important to understand, they were in a rush to try and roll out this sequence of events. Now, what he described was what the sequence of events was.
Tariq Nasheed is the director of Hidden Colors. So when I watched Hidden Colors 1 back in 2012 or 13 or something, I started working on my reader series where a lot of the authors and historians and black researchers who Tariq Nasheed brought to us in his Hidden Color series, I started to read their books and put their stuff in my art. Notably, one of my favorite pieces here is Dr. Frances Cress Weltsing and her book, The Isis Papers, Keys to the Colors. You also have Mastery. That's Robert Greene, the same guy who wrote 48 Laws of Power. Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. Chancellor Williams. Then here you have some Malcolm X and some Huey P. Newton on there. A book about the Rothschilds. So Yeah, I've already seen those, bro. I don't have copies of them personally, but I've seen the Hidden Colors. I almost made it to Philly to actually go to the theater during opening night, but something came up on that shit too, and I was like, fuck y'all. But yeah, Hidden Colors is definitely some good material. I don't follow like a lot of different personalities like that on social media, but I follow Tariq Nasheed. Yeah. Like I said, he was the first person where I heard Dr. Phil Valentine, uh, Dr. Shahadazar Ali. He had Dr. Umar Johnson on there. Um, who else he had on the first one? I say he had Dr. Francis Cress on there. Um, yeah, so actually, the Hidden Color series is what made me start reading different shit, yeah. Because I love to read, but mostly I just read like science fiction and shit. And so after I read Hidden Colors, I was like, "Fuck all this shit. I need to read some different shit, bro." I thought I knew shit. I don't know nothing. I said after that, and then that shit made me read uh, Malcolm X. I'm like, I'm asking my mom and my aunt, and my uncle. I was like, "Why y'all ain't never gave me this book when I was little, yo?" They was like, I don't know. We wasn't really on that shit." Like, why the fuck wasn't y'all on that shit? Oh, cause y'all was in church. No, that good shit, man. Fuck that. Y'all. I felt like I was neglected of information. You know what I'm saying? I had a huge problem with that. Better late than never. This is leather paint. It is specifically made for this. I made these shoes like 7 years ago. Five? No, I'm about to lie. 5 years ago? These shoes at least 4 or 5 years old. And that the same paint is still on there. It don't come off. That shit is made specifically to do this. Anytime you ever see anybody customize shoes like this, I almost can guarantee you they're using this exact same brand. This Angelus paint, like they're known for the quality of their paint. This shit don't fade. It don't come off. And if you like, you got all kind of shit. You got to prep your shoe first, and then once you prep your shoe, you paint, design, or whatever, and then they have a finish. And once you done, you put this on there. That bitch ain't coming off. Y'all don't care how wet you get it. You can, if it get dirty, I done clean these shits with a toothbrush and soap. Like that shit ain't coming off, yo. That shit is permanent. It's like it's leather, but it's paint. It's leather paint. It's weird as shit, yeah. And that's why they known for this shit, yo. They know. Like I say you can just YouTube custom shoes. Don't even YouTube anything about the paint. Just YouTube custom Nikes and see somebody doing it. I guarantee you they're using the same fucking paint. And you can look at everybody. Everybody use this shit, yo. They the best. It's the best shit. This shit work. This shit durable. I don't know what it is about this paint, but this shit don't come off. Now, the other way people do that shit is they hydro dip that shit down.
It starts with Israel attacking Iran. Now, this hasn't happened yet. There have been a number of indications that there are forces which are trying to push this into happening. You've only got to follow the news for the last 2 years to realize that the public is being prepared for a justification for this kind of thing. Iran is being set up as being the bad guys that deserve something to happen, and so on and so forth. Now, that's going to be the start of what is like the opening gambit in a big chess game. And the plan is to provoke Iran or China to retaliate. And our guy, our source, who is a military man, is privately as convinced as he can be, although this has never been made public and this is not publicly known, that Iran does have nuclear weapons. He believes that they have been provided by China behind the scenes. And all of this is intended because it's all right with these controlling forces that Iran has nuclear weapons, because they want them to be used. The plan is for either Iran or for China to retaliate after Iran is struck with a nuclear weapon. At that point, there will be...
No, I don't. This I've heard this guy like once or twice. This is Bill Ryan, but it's called Bill Ryan, the Anglo-Saxon Mission. Now, who I did fuck with heavy back in the day was David Icke. Read a couple of his books, listened to a ton of his stuff on YouTube. And David Icke did several interviews with this group called Project Camelot. And so I started listening to other people that Project Camelot has interviewed just because they had David Icke on there. And a lot of their shit is really weird and far, like, you know what I'm saying? That shit is just like, but anyway, I used to like to listen to him. And so I came across an excerpt from this interview right here, but what was posted online was like 1 minute and 30 seconds of it. But I noticed it had the Project Camelot tag on it, so I'm like, yo, I know that group, and so I just YouTubed it, and like this was like a week ago or the week before last, I YouTubed it and listened to the whole thing. And I played it here before, but I just want to play it up to a certain part for people who haven't heard this. And so Bill Ryan is giving this interview in 2010 about some information a person gathered in 2005. So in 2005, this dude was in a meeting hearing all this shit. Years later, he tells Bill about it, and then Bill tells us about it. Yeah.
A limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, followed by a ceasefire. He heard this.
No, he said it was a meeting somewhere in the city of London. There's a really good documentary. I forgot the guy's name, but it's called Money Masters. I let somebody borrow all my DVDs, but if you look up this documentary called Money Masters, it was originally did back in like 1996. Yo, this guy breaks down damn near the entire history of money. You know what I'm saying? He breaks down the entire history of money and how our current financial central banking system operates, fiat currency, fractional reserve lending. He breaks all this shit down. And he talks about I done lost my fucking train of thought, yo. He talks about not the Bilderberg Group, but he talks about a financial district in London called the City of London, which is like this enclave of bankers that almost rule the world. It's the Weisenhopes and the Rothschilds and all these people have this small 9-block area inside London that's kind of like a city until itself. Like it's weird as shit. It's kind of like the Vatican almost, but it's this small section of London that's called the City of London. And so it's not like some Bilderberg meeting, but it's like these high financiers and shit. And so this guy says he was at this meeting in the City of London where he overheard all this shit. But like, what it goes back to? Oh yeah, but if you watch this documentary called Money Masters, he'll explain all of that shit to you in there.
And in this meeting, this is being choreographed. It's like the script for a movie. This is exactly what's intended to happen. And during this time, the other thing that's being set up all that shit, yo. And many people watching this will be aware that this is being set up in the background. We've had a lot of information about this from a number of good researchers from many countries who are reporting this on the internet, that things are being set up in many of the Western countries for there to be heavy controls over populations, martial law, increased powers on security forces who are not just the army or the police, but in Britain, for example, our source said that he absolutely knew personally for a fact, that a very large number of private security people, their powers were being increased to give them the ability to arrest people, the ability to detain, the ability to handle riots in streets. And here we're talking about just regular people working in private security, people who give the parking tickets on the streets. Their powers are being increased in the same way. And last year we heard President Obama talking about how he wanted to have a sort of National Guard at home in America ready to handle this kind of thing. There are a lot of indicators that this is being set up. And in this rollout of this crazy scenario where it is intended that there will be a limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, the idea is that as the world looks upon this with horror, then they will demand from their governments that there are heavy controls over travel, over communication, over people who meet, over people who protest in the streets. They want to make sure that they don't have crazy bombers on aeroplanes, crazy bombers in the shopping malls. They want to make sure, and because people will be driven into fear by this, they'll request and demand and insist on heavy controls from their governments, which will be justified. And this is where you're going to kind of get the martial law situation in all the Western countries. It's intended as a justification. All of this is just the start of something, because this story gets much bigger, and it's pretty horrifying. And if watching this now you're feeling a little bit shocked, this is how I was feeling when I heard this information, and this is how our source was feeling when he was hearing this information in this meeting, because this is just the beginning. Now, during the time of this ceasefire, everyone's shocked, everyone's frightened, everyone's really terrified about where this is going to go. There are all kinds of heavy controls over populations everywhere. And then the next thing that happens in this chess game that's being played is that biological weapons are released on China. You heard this being discussed in this meeting. They will release a flu-like virus that will be genetically targeted against the Chinese population. It's racially targeted against the Chinese people. It's designed to spread like wildfire and to knock out a large number of the Chinese people. And these people in this meeting were laughing about this. They said, China will catch a cold. Those were their words. China will catch a cold. And they were laughing about the fact that these biological weapons will wreak havoc among the Chinese population. And after that, then what effectively will be a kind of plague will actually spread right across the world to the west as well. Our source was not clear whether this was a Chinese retaliation or whether the thing would just spread out of control in the way that it would be very understandable if it did, whether it's racially targeted or not. These things actually mutate. So now you've got a situation where there's been a limited nuclear war in the Middle East. There's a pandemic that really is sweeping across the world and really is killing people very visibly. And you've got this totalitarian military lockdown in all the governments in the Western world because everyone's going to be in panic about all of this. And then, he said, then the real war starts. Something that would be justifiably called the Third World War, with a much more major nuclear exchange. And at this point, I asked him, is this just about population reduction? What is this about? Why are they doing this? Why this insane Dr. Strangelove plan for just unleashing all of this stuff on the world? Why do it? Now, as our conversation went on, I started to find answers to those questions. Now, some of this is speculation. I want to share.
Right, like I said, I already listened to this whole thing before once in here. If you guys want to finish it up, this is Bill Ryan with Project Camelot, the Anglo-Saxon Mission. It's information from a 2005 meeting that took place in the city of London that was overheard by some Mason dude who was in the government and shit. And he told it to this guy in and around about 2009 or 2010, I guess, because he says in the beginning of this interview, he says it's February the 16th of 2010. So, you know, the guy could have told it to him, you know, that year or a couple of months ago at the end of 2009. But the guy sat on the information for a couple of years before he told somebody. And so this guy relays the story in 2010 about this plan to have a limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, releasing a biological weapon on China that is racially targeted directly towards the Chinese that will ultimately mutate and spread across the world, causing a pandemic, having Western countries in this military lockdown, martial law scenario, and then the real war starts. So if you want to hear all about the real war, you can finish listening to that. And Ryan, R-Y-A-N, Ryan, Bill Ryan, the Anglo-Saxon Mission. I mean, coincidence? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not coincidence. Let me take a bathroom break real quick, guys. Yo, this is called The Money Masters, How International Bankers Gain Control of America.
America today. Why are we over our heads in debt? Why can't the politicians bring debt under control? Why are so many people, often both parents now, working at low-paying, dead-end jobs and still making do with less? What's the future of the American economy and way of life? Why does the government tell us inflation is low when the buying power of our paychecks is declining at an alarming rate? Only a generation ago, bread was a quarter, and you could get a new car for $19.95.
The problem is that since 1864, we've had a debt-based banking system. All our money is based on government debt. We cannot extinguish government debt without extinguishing our money supply. That's why talk of paying off the national debt without reforming our banking system is an impossibility. That's why the solution does not lie in discussing the size of the national debt, rather it lies in reforming our banking system. This is the Federal Reserve headquarters in Washington. It sits on this very impressive address, right on Constitution Avenue, right across from the Lincoln Memorial. But is it federal? Is it really part of the United States government? Well, what we're about to show you is that there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve, and there are no reserves. The name is a deception created back before the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 to make Americans think that America's central bank operates in the public interest. The truth is that the Federal Reserve is a private bank owned by private stockholders and run purely for their private profit.
That's exactly correct. The Fed is a privately owned for-profit corporation, which again has no reserves, at least no reserves available to back up the Federal Reserve notes, which is our common currency.
Oh, absolutely. The Federal Reserve is neither federal and has doubtful reserves. It's a private bank that is owned by member banks. And it was chartered under the guise of deceit by an act of Congress in 1913.
If there's still any doubt whether the Federal Reserve is a part of the U.S. government, check your local telephone book. In most cities, it is not listed in the blue government pages. It is listed in the business white pages right next to Federal Express, another private company. But more directly, U.S. courts have ruled time and time again that the Fed is a private corporation. Why can't Congress do something about the Fed? Most members of Congress just don't understand the system, and the few who do are afraid to speak up. For example, initially a veteran congressman from Chicago asked us if he could be interviewed for this video. However, both times our camera crew arrived at his office to do the interview, this was all we were able to film. The congressman never appeared, and eventually decided he no longer wanted to participate. But a few others in Congress have been bolder over the years. Here are 3 quick examples. In 1923, Representative Charles A. Lindbergh, a Republican from Minnesota, and father of the famed aviator Lucky Lindy, put it this way: the financial system has been turned over to the Federal Reserve Board. That board administers the finance system by authority of a purely profiteering group. The system is private, conducted for the sole purpose of obtaining the greatest possible profits from the use of other people's money. One of the most outspoken critics in Congress of the Fed was the former chairman of the House Banking and Currency Committee during the Great Depression years. Lewis T. McFadden, Republican of Pennsylvania, said in 1932, "We have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board. This evil institution has impoverished the people of the United States and has practically bankrupted our government. It has done this through the corrupt practices of the moneyed vultures who control it." Senator Barry Goldwater was a frequent critic of the Fed. Most Americans have no real understanding of the operation of the international moneylenders. The accounts of the Federal Reserve System have never been audited. It operates outside the control of Congress and manipulates the credit of the United States.
The Federal Reserve really.
I actually have a bumper sticker on my car that says, "Audit the Fed." The Federal Reserve has never been audited. Never, ever in its whole 20 plus year history. And they say they ain't never gonna get audited either. Oh yeah, the Bin Laden family, because the Bin Laden family was a part of the Carlyle Group.
Even though it is not part of the federal government, it is more powerful than the federal government. It's more powerful than the president, the Congress, and the courts. Now, a lot of people challenge me on that, but let me prove my case. The Federal Reserve determines what the average person's car payment is going to be, what their house payment is going to be, and whether they have a job or not. And I submit to you that that's total control. And the Federal Reserve is the largest single creditor of the United States government. What does Proverbs tell us? The borrower is servant to the lender.
What one has to understand is that from the day the Constitution was adopted right up to today, the folks who profit from privately owned central banks, as Madison called them, the money changers, have fought a running battle for control over who gets to print America's money. Why is who prints the money so important? Think of money as just another commodity. If you have a monopoly on a commodity that everyone needs, everyone wants, and nobody has enough of, there are lots of ways to make a profit, and also exert tremendous political influence. That's what this battle is all about. Throughout the history of the United States, the money power has gone back and forth between Congress and some sort of privately owned central bank. The Founding Fathers knew the evils of a privately owned central bank. First of all, they had seen how the privately owned British central bank, the Bank of England, had run up the British national debt to such an extent that Parliament had been forced to place unfair taxes on the American colonies.
In fact, as we'll see later, Ben Franklin claimed that this was the real cause of the American Revolution. Most of the Founding Fathers realized the potential dangers of banking and feared bankers' accumulation of wealth and power. Jefferson put it this way:
I sincerely believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs.
That succinct statement of Jefferson is, in fact, the solution to all our economic problems today. It bears repeating. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. James Madison, the main author of the Constitution, agreed. Interestingly, he called those behind the central bank scheme money changers. Madison strongly criticized their actions.
History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance.
The battle over who gets to issue our money has been the pivotal issue throughout the history of the United States. Wars are fought over it, depressions are caused to acquire it. Yet after World War I, this battle was rarely mentioned in newspapers or history books. Why? By World War I,
the money changers with their
You
dominant
can't
wealth
have people
had
like Muammar
seized
Gaddafi
control
do shit, bro.
of most
Fuck
of
that.
the nation's press. Throughout U.S. history,
You
this
can't
battle
make
over
your
who
country
gets
strong.
the power to issue our money has raged. In fact, it's changed hands back and forth 8 times since 1764. Yet this fact has virtually vanished from public view for over 3 generations behind a smokescreen emitted by Fed cheerleaders in the media. Until we stop talking about deficits and government spending and start talking about who controls how much money we have, it's all just a big shell game, a complete and utter deception. It won't matter if you pass an ironclad amendment to the Constitution mandating a balanced budget. Our situation is only going to get worse until we root out the cause at its source. What's the solution for our national problem? First of all, education. That's what this video presentation is all about. But secondly, we must act. We must take back the power to issue our own money. Issuing our own money is not a radical solution. I want to stress that. It's the same solution used at different points in U.S. history by men like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, and Abraham Lincoln. So, to sum it up, in 1913, Congress gave an independent central bank, deceptively named the Federal Reserve, a monopoly over issuing America's money. And the debt generated by this quasi-private corporation is what is killing the American economy. Though the Federal Reserve is now the most powerful central bank in the world, it was not the first. So where did this idea come from? To really understand the magnitude of the problem, we have to travel back to Europe. Just who are these money changers James Madison spoke of? In the Bible, 2,000 years ago, Jesus drove the money changers from the temple. It was the only time Jesus used force during his ministry. What were money changers doing in the temple?
It's not about the banks. It's about what the government, Trump, does. Business. Is business successful? Have to be made. Okay, but how do we do business? And when you talk about doing business, you're talking about some type of monetary exchange, which involves money, which involves the banks. So if business is good, especially big business, banks make a profit. It always comes back to the banks, bro. Because good business revolves around money being made. Like, that's the obvious. Yeah. Trump is all about business. And so that's why everybody still pander to the Fed, and no one ever pushes a real bill or any kind of thing that will get the Fed audited, because we don't want to upset the Fed, because they run the business. They the banks. You know what I'm saying? The banks. That's where the American government gets its money from. That's what this guy is trying to explain to you, yo. America don't make money. The Federal Reserve makes money for America. But it's not a part of the government, bro. Everything come back to the bank. The government doesn't really loan. The government loans money from who? Yeah, but kind of do, but like you say, man, like this dude said, yo, the Federal Reserve controls like inflation rates and shit like that. So they really determine how much your dollar is worth. So yeah, it comes from people working and building an economy, but when the bank can control how much your dollar is worth or how much interest you have to pay on your mortgage loans and shit like that, then they still have a greater control over that than the company you work for. The banks are the end all be all, and banks should be national, not private. We should have a national bank that's controlled by our national government, that we all can elect officials and heads of. Like, all this shit that goes on in the Federal Reserve is private, yo. We don't know none of that shit what goes on in there. And this is why when they take out leaders like Gaddafi, these are countries that don't have central banks. They don't have a Western central bank in their country, and that's why the central banks don't like that. They want to control the money from every nation. But Gaddafi said, we have gold reserves. Once you show us a currency that has a real asset reserve to it, then we can do some business. So then he was like, I'm going to make the fucking dinar. You know what I'm saying? You want my oil? You gotta trade me something with some fucking value, bro. I'm not taking your American dollars, because this shit is made out of thin air. Yeah, it's not, money isn't backed by anything. It's fiat currency, and all the shit is digital now. Like, once again, this is the prime example here. Your money used to say, oh, is it that hard to see? At the top of this bill, oh my God, it says silver certificate. This is an old ass dollar from like the fucking 30s or something. But it used to be a receipt, and it said silver certificate at the top. Now it says Federal Reserve note. This is just a note that says I owe you money. I owe you. It's a note written from the Federal Reserve that says this bill should have a value to it. But it's not a receipt or a certificate for silver or gold or anything else. So our money used to be like this, and now it's like this because the Federal Reserve makes money out of nothing. And so instead of having certificates, they make Federal Reserve notes. And that's how they can just say, oh, $1 trillion. Here you go. And then they print up some money, or actually most of it is digital currency now. And then the federal government print up some reserve bonds, or some, and then they trade them shits off. And then boom, you got a stimulus package.
When Jews came to Jerusalem to pay their temple tax, they could only pay it with a special coin, the half shekel of the sanctuary. This was a half ounce of pure silver about this size. It was the only coin around at that time which was pure silver and of assured weight, without the image of a pagan emperor. Therefore, to Jews, the half shekel was the only coin acceptable to God. But these coins were not plentiful. The money changers had cornered the market on them. Then they raised the price, just like any other commodity, to whatever the market would bear.
The World Bank and the IMF.
In other words, money changers were making exorbitant profits because they held a virtual monopoly on money. The Jews had to pay whatever they demanded. To Jesus, this totally violated the sanctity of God's house. But the money-changing scam did not originate in Jesus' day. 200 years before Christ, Rome was having trouble with money changers. 2 early Roman emperors had tried to diminish the power of the money changers by reforming usury laws and limiting land ownership to 500 acres. They were both assassinated. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar took back the power to coin money from the money changers and minted coins for the benefit of all. With this new, plentiful supply of money, he built great public works projects. By making money plentiful, Caesar won the love of the common man, but the money changers hated him. Some believe this was an important factor in Caesar's assassination. One thing is for sure, with the death of
Announcing his
Caesar
moves too
came
much.
the demise
Well, I
of
don't know,
political
man,
money in
because
Rome. Taxes increased, as did corruption.
yeah, they've been taking
Just
out
as in the case of America
elected
today,
officials
usury
way
and
before
debased
social
coin
media, bro.
became the rule.
You know what I'm
Eventually, the Roman
saying?
money
Taking out
supply was
motherfuckers who
reduced
about to
by
make some real
90%.
change, that shit
As a
ain't nothing
result,
new.
the common
Just because we
people
was
lost
able to
their
see that
lands
shit
and their
on
homes.
camera,
Justice is about to
that ain't
happen soon
nothing,
in
bro. They
America.
been doing shit
With
like
the
that. I
demise
don't think
of
social
plentiful
media
money,
kill these
the masses
motherfuckers
lost
nowadays.
confidence in the Roman
Like
government
motherfuckers
and
know what kind of
refused
moves
to
you
support
making,
it. Rome
and they not
plunged
playing them
into
games.
the gloom of the Dark Ages.
With this system, man, is get down to lay down. When some
1,000
motherfuckers got to
years
lay
after the
down,
death
bro.
of Christ, money changers,
You know what I'm
those
saying?
who loan out
Patrice
and
Lumumba.
manipulate the quantity
They chopped that
of
motherfucker
money,
body up,
were
and put his
active
body in
medieval
acid.
England.
Man, it wasn't even
In
no
fact,
social
they
media
were
back
so
then.
active that acting together, they could manipulate the entire English economy. These were not bankers per se. The money changers generally were the goldsmiths. They were the first bankers because they started keeping other people's gold for safekeeping in their vaults. The first paper money was merely a receipt for gold left at the goldsmith. Paper money caught on because it was more convenient than carrying around a lot of heavy gold and silver coins. Eventually, goldsmiths noticed that only a small fraction of the depositors ever came in and demanded their gold at any one time. Goldsmiths started cheating on the system. They discovered that they could print more money.
Man, they were already
had
going
gold.
into like
And
after
usually,
Iraq,
no one
Iran,
would be wiser.
Syria,
Then they could loan out
Libya.
extra money and
Yo,
collect interest
there was
on it.
they
This
already
was the
had
birth
plans to do all of that
fractional
shit, bro.
reserve banking. That is loaning out many
Yeah,
times more money
Libya,
than we have
like
assets.
yo, all that shit was already planned out from
So,
Operation
if
Freedom
$1,000
Iraq.
in gold was deposited with them,
You know what I'm saying? That's why they
loan
took out
about
goddamn
$10,000 in paper and draw interest payments on
Saddam.
it, and no one would ever discover the deception.
By this means, goldsmiths gradually accumulated more and more wealth and used this wealth to accumulate more and more gold. Today, this practice of loaning out more money than there are reserves is known as fractional reserve banking. Every bank in the United States is allowed to loan out at least 10 times more money than they actually have. That's why they get rich on charging, let's say, 8% interest. It's not really 8% per year, which is their income. It's 80%. That's why bank buildings are always the largest in town. But does that mean that all interest or all banking should be illegal? Hardly. In the Middle Ages, canon law, the law of the Catholic Church, forbade charging interest on loans. This concept followed the teachings of Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas. They taught that the purpose of money was to serve the members of society, to facilitate the exchange of goods needed to lead a virtuous life.
America has the biggest
Interest,
population
in
in the
their
world.
belief, hindered this purpose by putting an unnecessary burden on the use of money. In other words, interest was contrary to reason and justice. Reflecting church law in the Middle Ages, Europe forbade charging interest on loans and made it a crime called usury. As commerce grew, and therefore opportunities for investment arose in the late Middle Ages, it came to be recognized that to loan money had a cost for the lender, both in risk and in lost opportunity. So some charges were allowed,
I'll
but
play it
not
in- I'll play it in
interest
a
per
minute.
se. But all moralists, no matter what religion, condemn fraud, oppression of the poor, and injustice as clearly immoral. As we will see, fractional reserve lending is rooted in a fraud, results in widespread poverty, and reduces the value of everyone else's money.
The ancient goldsmiths discovered that extra profits could be made by rowing the economy between easy money and tight money. When they made money easier to borrow, then the amount of money in circulation expanded. Money was plentiful. People took out more loans to expand their businesses. But then the money changers would tighten the money supply. They would make loans more difficult to get.
What would happen? Just what happens today. A certain percentage of people could not repay their previous loans and could not take out new loans to repay the old ones. Therefore, they went bankrupt and had to sell their assets to the goldsmiths for pennies on the dollar. The same thing is still going on today. Only today, we call this rowing of the economy up and down the business cycle. Like Julius Caesar, King Henry I of England finally resolved to take the money power away from the goldsmiths about 1100 AD. Henry could have used anything as money, seashells, feathers, or even yak dung, as is often done in remote Tibetan provinces. But he invented one of the most unusual money systems in history. It was called the tally stick system. Here I have one of the few surviving examples of this form of British money, which lasted 726 years until 1826, a tally stick. The tally system was adopted to avoid the monetary manipulation of the goldsmiths. Tally sticks were money fabricated out of sticks of polished wood. Notches were cut along one edge of the stick to indicate the denominations. Then the stick was split lengthwise through the notches so that both pieces still had a record of the notches. The king kept one half to protect against counterfeiting. Then he would spend the other half into the economy and they would circulate as money. This particular tally stick is huge. It represented 25,000 pounds. One of the original stockholders in the Bank of England purchased his original shares with this stick. In other words, he bought shares in the world's richest and most powerful corporation with a stick of wood. It's ironic that after its formation in 1694, the Bank of England attacked the tally stick system because it was money outside the power of the money changers, just as King Henry had wanted it to be. Why do people accept sticks of wood for money? That's a great question. Throughout history, people traded anything they thought had value and used as money. You see, the secret is that money is only what people agree on to use as money. What's our paper money today? It's really just paper. But here's the trick. King Henry ordered that tally sticks had to be used to pay the king's taxes.
So the largest populations are China, India, Africa, and then the Western countries start to count. But yeah, 3 out of every 5 people on the planet is Chinese. 3 out of every 5 people on the planet is Chinese. There's like over 1 billion. You know, like, I think China might be up to close to 2 billion people now, yo. But we're what? 7 billion? The real people in charge are like 0.01%. As far as population, are you sure? I wouldn't doubt it though. I mean, Africa's a fucking huge ass continent, but the continental U.S. is fucking densely populated though. 6 billion? That's why, like, even when I was in high school, China was talking about the one child law or the one child act where you can only have one fucking kid, yo. And it was like some kind of law. Yo, when I was young, I was like, can they do that? Can you force people not to have kids? Like, what the fuck? And then I read this book called Ender's Game, and it's in their future, and it's kind of set like that where you can only have 2 kids because they feel like the planet is getting overpopulated. And then, like, if you have a 3rd kid, like, you gotta pay like this extra fucking tax, like this huge ass tax each year for your just for having the 3rd kid. That's how you know that a lot of motherfuckers when the government say, hey, y'all can't keep having all these damn babies. 1 per family. And then they say that shit, after a generation of that shit, it got the population skewed because everybody wants a fucking son. And so if the wife is pregnant and they realize she might be having a daughter, they'll abort the baby or whatever, or just because they want a son to carry on the family's name. And then you get this weird population where men start to outnumber women. I think America is like, what, our population, like 300 million or some shit like that? 300 million people. That's a lot of damn people, yo. 300 million. And I mean, is Australia like still a big tourist destination like that? People still just go to Australia just to go there. I mean, when Crocodile Dundee was popping back in the day, like, motherfuckers thought Australia was cool as fuck, but like nobody don't fuck with Australia like that. Motherfuckers gonna be like, I'm taking a vacation. Where are you going? Australia. And if somebody do say Australia, like, what the fuck you going to Australia for? What the fuck are you going to Australia for? What's over there?
Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for more than 40 years, and his family played a major role in his government, holding key positions and widespread influence. For the militia that toppled Gaddafi, and for the Western powers that helped them, all the Gaddafis became targets. 3 sons were killed in the conflict. Mu'tasim died on the same day as his father in Sirte, but other family members got away. His second wife, Safia Farkash, daughter Aisha, and 2 sons, Hannibal and Muhammad, escaped to Algeria. They later won political asylum in Oman.
You said look up My Family Gaddafi interview or something. That's what I put. Gaddafi's family flee. Fate of Muammar Gaddafi family. CNN searching for the family. My life with Gaddafi family. The same video that I just listened to, that pops up first. My life with Gaddafi family. Gaddafi body given to family. CNN searches for family. Gaddafi family bodyguard tells Sky News. Former director head of South something. Home videos show softer side of Gaddafi. Home movie emerges of Gaddafi family. My life with Gaddafi family. Cook. I don't know, bro. Muammar Gaddafi's sons cook, reunited with family. My life with Gaddafi family, English and sub in all languages with green subtitles in the thumbnail. This might be it.
Mohamed Abu Minjar El Gaddafi je bio libijski vođa od 1969. do 2011. godine. Početkom 60. godina 20. veka završio je oficirsku školu u Ujedinjenom kraljevstvu i osnovao Savez slobodnih oficira. Sa tom organizacijom je 1969. godine pučem srušio vlast kralja Idriza, da bi zatim uspostavio vojnu diktaturu i sam preuzeo.
Nah, you do know people in the stream can't read the subtitles, right? Why you want me to play some shit in another language, bro? What the hell? I have to read that on my own time. That shit 25 minutes long too. Oh yeah, I'll watch it off the stream. I can't sit here for 25 minutes and read that shit. I'll definitely check it out though. And you made me forget the hell I was listening to. Shit. Alright, can find something else. Find something else.
The population of Africa is set to almost double by 2050, raising fears that progress in fighting poverty and disease will be reversed. So what can be done to ensure that poverty doesn't increase? And how can a disproportionately large youth population help drive progress? With me to discuss all of this and more is Bill Gates. Bill, are we at a turning point where regression is a real risk?
Well, first, the progress over the last several decades has been pretty amazing, both reducing childhood death, getting kids in school, getting agricultural productivity up, and reducing extreme poverty. But it's really Africa that still has a doubling in population to 2050 and probably another doubling to 2100, where you really have to do a good job if you're trying to get these extreme poverty rates.
Now, this was years ago. These motherfuckers are already talking about 2050 in the year 2100. This is how they make their plans and agendas. And at least 50-year increments for the majority of their plans. Maybe some small generational plans, 25-year segments here and 25-year segments here. But they make plans and agendas for 50 to 100 years into the future. The average person can barely plan 2-3 years from now. So when these motherfuckers start talking about 2050 and 2100, you better listen to them. Because they are the ones who are implementing specific things now so that they can basically guide and predict the future. I don't think I've ever heard this interview right here. But when motherfuckers started talking about 50 years out, 100 years out,
where you really have to do a good job if you're trying to get these extreme poverty rates down. So if we don't do better in investing in human capital in Africa, yes, the number of people in extreme poverty is actually going to go up.
Should the solution, or should more solutions be focused on slowing that growth? So, for example, increasing reproductive rights for women or spreading the access to contraceptives, because it seems that, is it correct that no amount of investment can really keep pace with that population growth?
What we do between now and 2050 with education, with economic growth, with health and nutrition, that'll really set the course for moderating the population growth between 2050 and 2100. But it's really a virtuous cycle, letting women have reproductive health tools that they want, educating girls, raising agriculture productivity, getting these malnutrition interventions on a much greater scale than we have today. Those are the things you would want to do anyway. It turns out that by doing those well, you also set the population growth rate coming down quite a bit. And so it just makes it that much more imperative that we invest in the human capital now, and so that the challenge of what under any scenario will be fairly high population growth, that you're able to benefit from all those young people making a big contribution to their country.
So is the fact that Africa has such a high proportion of youth population, and within the context of this predicted growth, is that something that you think is a sort of optimistic statistic? I mean, is it a good thing that there's an opportunity here to sort of harness the power of those young people?
It's both an opportunity and a challenge, because the capacity to run the health systems well, to get the education system to have not only high attendance but good learning outcomes as well, that's not going to be easy. If we don't make these investments, that youth bulge will be a huge challenge, because they won't have the development, they won't have the economic opportunity that they deserve. So it's potentially an asset, but if we don't invest right, it could even be a liability.
Let's talk about digital technology for a minute. We know that more people than ever before are connected, more people than ever before have bank accounts. Those are both...
What he's saying is, look, the African continent is very, very valuable. We have a lot of resources there. We need to keep our resources. But at the same time, these Africans, even though they're living in, way below the poverty line, they're reproducing fast as fuck, yo. By 2050, they're going to double in population. And it's mostly fucking young people. The AIDS, the Ebola, nothing won't stop these motherfuckers. So if we invest in their health and their education, and so they can live longer lives, and women can have the right to choose, and more contraceptive, then we can slow down their population growth. So that way we can educate them to be just smart enough to work for us. Because if their population booms too big and we can't control these motherfuckers, who knows what kind of radical leaders are going to start forming? Who knows what kind of African national groups will come out of this large, young population boom that will want to take the natural resources from their own countries to help their own people and not be exploited by European countries for the most part. So we gotta really watch Africa over the next couple of years and make these investments. I hear what you're saying, motherfucker, but I hear what you're saying.
positives, but what would you say are the biggest opportunities in digital technology in terms of fighting poverty and disease?
Yeah, digital innovation is really pervasive, and so whether it's tracking, do you have the vaccines out where they should be, getting feedback from citizens, is the teacher showing up and doing a good job. Digital systems let you achieve a higher quality and really assure, whether it's the domestic taxpayers or the donors, that their money's going to the right things in a way that without digital we couldn't do.
I just want to turn back to the U.S. for a minute. Under the current U.S. administration, under President Donald Trump, there's been a lot of threats to cutting the foreign aid budget and even withholding funding from UN agencies. Is it damaging, that kind of rhetoric that exists right now?
Well, certainly, if countries turn inwards and they're not thinking about the long term and this challenge of helping Africa develop in a very stable, self-sufficient way, if you think that helping other countries over time is not beneficial, then that's going to be turning back on this model of helping out the poorest. And so when those recommendations in the U.S. to cut the foreign aid budget that came out of the executive branch were put forward, we certainly our foundation.
Why when other countries come into where? Africa? For what reasons? Because all the resources are there, but they need to invest in the in the people who are the poorest. What people? The Africans. So how can the Africans be the poorest people, but you go to their countries for all your resources where you make all of your wealth from? This is the oxymoronic way that they try to speak to you, saying that we're going to put business and industry in Africa, and then we need to help invest in the poor Africans. That's why they say, oh, you poor because you live in the hood. Well, that's where all the Arabs and the Asians and everybody put all their quickie marts and gas stations and laundromats and Chinese corner store bodegas and all that shit in the hood because they money in the hood. You're not poor, you just don't spend your money wisely. And Africa sure as hell ain't poor, we just don't have control over the resources. You should, anytime you hear anybody say Africa and poor in the same sentence, they lying to you. Don't believe nobody who says that the Africans are poor. They're not poor. They're heavily exploited.
Out of the executive branch were put forward. We certainly, our foundation was talking with Congress about what we've seen, that foreign aid is working super well, whether it's malaria, HIV, and so many different areas. And it was very pleasing that the Congress, on a very bipartisan basis, chose to maintain these commitments that are so critical. So foreign aid has stayed flat. Ideally it would be going up, but in the face of some of this turning inwards, the fact that the European countries have remained generous and the U.S. levels are steady, that is a good thing. We just have to continue to make sure it's spent as best we can.
The European countries have remained generous.
There's a question in the report that really stood out to me, which is, it asks, is extreme poverty inevitable? Could you summarize what it will take to ensure that poverty is not inevitable?
We know what works. Human capital, agricultural sector, taking advantage of innovation, whether that's new seeds, new vaccines, or the digital platform. It's clear if we make the right investments to help these countries, they can get virtually all their citizens out of extreme poverty.
Why are they in extreme poverty now? That's what I be trying to say, man. Why are you in fucking extreme poverty?
Over the last 2 weeks, our whole world has changed. The president has now officially declared a national emergency. The situation might seem really confusing, which is why you need a source of news that you can trust. Our team of reporters here at the Epic Times have been working around the clock in order to let you know what's happening with our businesses, our schools,
Epic
our
Times,
taxes, our borders, and our hospitals so that you can be prepared. And it's not just that. Because the Chinese Communist...
Dr. Hotez, how are you, sir?
It's great to see you again, Joe. I feel a lot better seeing you now.
I feel a lot better seeing you, too, especially with the bow ties we talked about before, your signature touch.
Yeah, as I was saying, when I tried to start wearing a regular tie for a while, it was like when Dylan started switching to electric instruments at the Newport Folk Festival, and there were just cries of outrage, so I had to...
What kind of cries of outrage are you getting about your bow tie? Especially in these trying times.
No, they like the bow tie. The point was I tried to switch to regular tie for a while, and they said that there's no way that can happen.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, been here almost 4 hours. I'll probably go 4 hours and then take a break, guys. What time is it? It's almost 1 o'clock. Shit. I already did it 4 hours. For 72 hours, goddamn, I've been amazing. Damn, I've been amazing. Got 9 vacation. And boom, boom, I'm racing. Church's chicken. Niggas is ready with all my life. I want money and power. Respect my mind. I'll die for less hours. Play them big kid, big as that alpha dog. So I can fuck the world for 72 hours. Goddamn, I damn, I got bitches. Damn, I got bitches. Wifey, girlfriend, and mistress. I want money and power, respect my mind, cause nigga, bless y'all. On my dresser, yes sir. And that's what it's special. Did a ruler couldn't measure. And that's nigga get embarrassed. Okay. Okay. That ain't too bad for 4 hours, bro. Yeah, I feel you. That ain't too bad. I can deal with that. So like I say, I ordered some black paint. Whatever black paint I do have, I'm gonna utilize it, but I won't be able to finish up until I get that other black paint in here. Alright, let me see what the toe look like with one more coat on it. Still probably have to put like 2 more coats of this red. I say with this shit, you just gotta be patient and put it on in like thin layers, yo. Oh yeah, one more time after this, that should be solid. Oh yeah, them shit's looking. And now we're gonna do black around the rest of the toe, a black around the eyelets for the lace, and I want the check black, and I might actually I'm debating on should I make the strip in the back black or should I keep that shit white and write black letters on that shit, yo. And then we're gonna swap out the white laces and put black laces in it. I'm trying to do one more panel. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, try to get where I fit in. Get in where I fit in. Well, you about to get on that game, bro. I don't know what you about to do, but 4 hours, I made some good progress. You know what I'm saying? This right here it's an easy project. It's just tedious and time consuming because yo, this shit fucking kicks, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta take your time and because the kicks gotta be crisp, super crisp, and how Nikes are broken up, they're all in little panels. So all you gotta do is like just fill in your panels how you want to. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no real hard project. Just with this shit, you just I don't know. Just feel like you gotta take your time. Be patient, and this motherfucker gonna come out nice. But like right now, about to get to a stopping point. I'm gonna finish the panels on this side, and then I don't know, grab a lunch, and I feel like playing some video games for a little while. Like I said, I definitely might be back up here later on, throwing a couple more coats on this thing, and like I said, I might even just pull out the black paint and go ahead and put the black paint where I want it so we can see how the final color scheme should look. Well, not really, because I got to take the tape off. I want to, the bottom of the sole is going to be red too. Yeah, but this is, what, 3 coats? So, yeah, like 3 or 4 coats. And just use little thin layers so you don't have, like, buildup on it. You got the red bottom. I swear, y'all gotta get me a pair now. I ain't even lying, yo. But I said I just got my old pair, and then like you see, I just kept them motherfucking like white. I gotta get me some colors on my shit, yo. This brush should be good for a little while. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'll be back up here later on. But tonight, I'm gonna have to wash this out with some warm soap and water so I can keep it nice and soft for when I keep doing these shoes with it. I don't want to fuck this brush up too soon. Alright. So these started out as all white. So like I said, we're gonna have the rest of the toe here is gonna be black, and the check and the lace eyelets are gonna be black around here, and we're gonna do a red bottom from the bottom portion of the sole down is gonna be red, and then the Nike Air on the side is gonna be red. And oh no, I might make this black and then have white writing that has our hometown area code on it, or I could keep it white like this and then have black numbers on it. So I'll figure that shit out later. But it took me forever to get the damn thing taped up, but the sole is taped up pretty good. I said I really won't have to tape up anything else until I'm ready to do the black, because then I'll tape up the red part to make sure that the black doesn't get on the red, or to keep as much of it off as possible. And then we'll go from there, yo. And then like I said, I already got some swap out black laces. They got like chrome tips on it. So we'll throw the black laces in there with the, like I said, with the black trim. Yo, I think them shit's gonna be hot, yo. So we'll be back in here later on, yo. Yeah, these shit's gonna be chewy. So chewy, you gotta tell a nigga don't bite my shit, son. I know I got them chewies on. Don't try to bite my shit though, son. Why you trying to bite my shit? Customs. Alright, let me finish turning some shit off. Turn the laptop off, put my phone back on regular settings. Yeah, I keep my phone where it goes to the lock screen after 30 seconds, just so, I don't know, like, save battery on that shit, because if I don't put my phone on that setting, yo, I'll set my phone down, and, man, next thing I know, my battery be dead as fuck, because I don't ever close the goddamn screen on that shit. Alright, shut that down. So, later on, I might show you guys the other painting I was working on. Earlier, I did get a lot of gold leafing done to it. I got some more to do to it. Actually, might let it dry a little bit more, because there's I'm going for a certain look to it, but I have to do it in stages so I don't fuck it up. So I may show you guys the progress I made on that gold leafing. So we're working on that painting, working on these customs, and got a few other pieces going on, and so we got plenty of stuff for the quarantine streams. Don't worry, guys, I'm here with you. We're riding this shit out, man. We're gonna stay up to date, you know, with all the current events and global news, keeping everybody with a positive attitude, motivated, and good conversation and some art. You know what I'm saying? Everybody do their help. Everybody do their part to help stop the spread. And listen to everybody you can about whatever you can. You know what I'm saying? Don't limit your source of information. And just stay diligent in keeping yourself and your family safe and healthy. I will be streaming some video games. Y'all more than welcome to come back and check that out. Me and Blunt Mover probably play some games for a little while, but until then, peace.